But things are going to get worse. If you look at the acceleration of the number of cases, the 7-day average has gone up substantially.
Democrats ignoring warnings like that from top Biden officials and are now being called major COVID hypocrites after a weekend of breaking their own rules. Washington, D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser was spotted maskless at a wedding after reinstating her city's mandate to cover up just hours before. And Chicago Mayor Lori Lightfoot was maskless posing with celebrities at Lollapalooza after threatening new COVID restrictions. She is also being criticized for allowing that massive outdoor music festival in the first place. Plus, former President Obama reportedly defined CDC guidance for his 60th birthday party. Nearly 500 guests have been invited to the bash, and at least 200 workers are expected to staff the event. Just to get to a point on that, Jen Psaki, the White House press secretary, commented on the Obama party. Take a look.
Former President Obama has been a huge advocate of individuals getting vaccinated. This event, according to all the public reporting, is outdoors and in a moderate zone. The guidance is about what steps people can take when they're in public settings. Indoor settings specifically was the new guidance.
Jesse, did you get an invite?
No, but that's the hottest ticket of the summer for sure. The big story about that is that Barack didn't invite Joe. That's cold. No, they were best buddies for 8 years, and I could see Trump not inviting Pence to a birthday party, but Barack not inviting Joe Biden? Either they're not on speaking terms, or Barack Obama doesn't want anybody more powerful than he is at the party. I can understand that. Like, if I had a birthday party, would I invite Hannity? Hell no. I don't want everybody sucking up to Sean. I want them sucking up to me. The other thing they have is a COVID coordinator at the party.
That's a new thing.
So what is that person supposed to do? Shoot Eric Holder in the head with a temperature gun? Oh, you can go, Eric. What are they going to tell Spike Lee to sneeze downwind? It's like a useless job. They probably make more than I do. Pearl Jam's performing. Barack doesn't like Pearl Jam. Oh, Pearl Jam's not. Of course they're not, because Michelle doesn't like Pearl Jam. That doesn't make any sense to book.
I love how you were able to
party.
I love how you were able to pivot from when you found out that you weren't to pin it on her. It's like
Michelle canceled Pearl Jam.
I can't believe they're having. Oh, they're not. It's her fault.
I sort of felt like with President Obama hasn't been out there saying, put masks back on. He doesn't have any power anymore. He's saying, I'm vaccinated, my friends are vaccinated, I'm throwing a party. Isn't that what we should be doing?
Yes. In fact, I'm going to take this as he's the leader. And he's telling Americans it's time.
It's okay.
Not only is COVID over, so is climate change, right? Because think about between 500, 700 people, how many private jets are going to be landed in that tiny airport? So we now know that do not let the last, the threats of impending doom keep you from your 60th birthday party. By the way, I'm totally for it, but I do think it's like, why does President Obama, former president, still need more love? Does he need another? Hey, think about all the celebrities that are going to be there. It is just going to be hilarious.
Except for Jesse.
Well, I'm not going unless Tucker's going. I got my ticket. He hasn't gotten his yet. So,
what do you think about Mayor Bowser? I mean, this is Lori Lightfoot to some extent, but I think Mayor Bowser. I think that was one. It's just like we've seen this movie before.
Because she made the deadline after the wedding, which was like we weren't supposed to notice that, which was hilarious. It used to be that laws were for everyone. Not so anymore. We only have laws for the law abiding. Have you thought about this? No, we don't have any laws anymore for people who really need them, meaning the criminals and politicians. So when there's a dramatic surge in crime, the instinct is to go after the criminal if you're common sense, but instead they talk about creating more laws for gun crime, for basically laws that will be followed by the law abiding. So all the suggestions and everything that we hear and the orders that we are given, they're for people that are going to do the right thing. But no one ever pressures the people who are doing the wrong thing to do it right. Politicians and criminals, no different.
The move at the wedding, Greg, is to always have a drink in your hand.
So
that way you don't have to wear a mask. You're always just drinking at a wedding.
That way you can do on an airplane, too.
Yeah.
I don't know. Richard, what did you think about the D.C. scandal du jour?
I like Jesse's solution to the problem. It was rather funny. No, I think the mayor here, according to her statement from her office, she said that she had a mask on the whole time. The picture shows a little different. So I think that's a little bit problematic.
I'm sure her social media team was like, oh, yeah.
I can only imagine if I was on her comms team, I'd be pretty pissed too. But listen, I think I'm not a fan of Mayor de Blasio, but how he's sort of approaching this, I think, is the right way to do it. What he said today was, look, I strongly encourage folks that are vaccinated to wear masks indoors if you can, because we want to stop the spread of the COVID variant. But I will not, in the city of New York, put out a mask mandate. And I think that's the right way to go.
But it's still not true.
If you're trying to encourage folks to get vaccinated, which is what the goal here is, the goal is to encourage people to get vaccinated, especially when we had a week where Florida reported its highest number of COVID cases in a single day in the entirety of this pandemic, right? And we also know that there's 10,000 people in Florida over that are currently being hospitalized. And the only way we're going to stop this is via vaccination, understanding that the vaccination is more effective than the actual COVID treatments if you catch COVID and you end up being hospitalized. Then we're going to have to do it with sort of a carrot and not a stick.
Vaccinations are up. I mean,
yeah, they are. We're on a 2-week high.
It was a month late, but they met their deadline.
We're on a 2-week high in
their goal was
70%
70% of a first shot by July 1st. It was August 1st. I mean,
yeah, they're meeting those goals. But I think when you look at the way that people's lives are being controlled and these big questions about kids going back to school and the teachers' unions demanding that kids be masked, the panic pushers on COVID are not afraid of COVID, apparently. The people like Mayor Bowser or Gavin Newsom in California as the governor, they've never been afraid of this in the way that they're pushing it on everybody else and acting like everybody needs to be terrified about it. And I think the question is, well, why not? Because if it's as serious as they are saying, while they're trying to regulate every aspect of your lives, you would think that they would also be taking it seriously. But they have not been taking it seriously. Over the weekend, it was more important for her to go hang out with Dave Chappelle and to be at this wedding. And then they go after the reporter who was there and say that she wasn't invited and how dare she report the news. So when there are big decisions being made by the CDC director, by the White House, talking about mandates, when you had one of the White House's top COVID advisors today, who's from the University of Minnesota, saying that the masks that we're wearing, the non-N95 masks, aren't working to slow the spread. Well, when they put these government mandates in place and they encourage small businesses or corporations to do the same, you're affecting people's lives. You're affecting their livelihood. You're affecting kids' ability to go back to school and have social interaction with each other. And so I think it's a bigger question of, why are they acting like everyone needs to panic and possibly lock down again and do all of these things when they are not doing them and they're implementing rules that none of them are affected by? They're not affected. You know, the people going to Barack Obama's birthday party aren't affected by these rules. They can fly on their private jet. They can have things delivered. All the people who are mandating these issues skirt the rules or they aren't affected by them. And it affects real people.
It is like it's an interesting kind of class warfare.
Yeah.
In the sense that you can tell people to do the things that you yourself can endure, but they can't, and they will have to do. And over time, their lives get worse. But I didn't even put myself in that of the exemption. I was able to work all the way through this.
Yeah.
We were able to work from home. That's why we wanted to get back here, because we're giving advice to people, and yet we're not taking the advice is hypocritical.
Well, imagine if you're a restaurant owner who got through this and is now looking at the possibility of, as the president said, that today there might be more restrictions coming. He didn't say lockdowns, he said restrictions.
And I think there's a balanced approach here. I think what the CDC could be doing is saying, in places where there's a high infection rate and there's a low vaccination rate, here's the threshold. When you get to this point, you have to go back to masking. When you get to this point, you have to go back to lockdown. So it's very clear. Everybody knows what the threshold is. Everybody knows what's going to happen when you get there. So people aren't in a lurch when a random press release comes out from the CDC.
But it's not.
I think the CDC should stop talking.
It's not clear.
No, it's not clear right now. I'll give you that.
They gave you the county-by-county map, and according to those guidelines, every single city right now, you have to wear a mask according to their guidelines.
I agree with. That's crazy. I'm agreeing with you on that point. I'm saying
it's crazy that you're agreeing with me, Richard.
You're not crazy.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.